From Washington, here is the news in VOA Special English. 48 Iranians have arrived at a hotel in the Syrian capital, Damascus. Syrian rebel forces had held the Iranians hostage since early August. They were released on Wednesday in exchange for the Syrian government's releasing of more than 2,000 prisoners. This appears to be the first major prisoner exchange in Syria's nearly two-year civil war. Syrian rebels captured the Iranians in Damascus in August. They accused them of being members of Iran's Revolutionary Guards and of gathering intelligence. Iran denied the claim, saying the detainees were visiting Syria for religious reasons. An American company that helped detain and question prisoners during the Iraq War has paid more than $5 million to settle a court case. The case involved 72 former detainees of Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison. They had accused employees of L3 services of torturing and abusing them. They said the abuse included beatings, being put in extreme heat or cold, and being forced to stay awake for long hours. Venezuela's Supreme Court says President Hugo Chavez can legally delay his planned swearing in. The court decision Wednesday came a day after Venezuelan officials announced that President Chavez will miss his swearing-in Thursday for his fourth term. The Venezuelan leader is in Cuba following a cancer operation. On Tuesday, the Speaker of Venezuela's National Assembly read a letter to lawmakers from the president's doctors. The Venezuelan opposition was angered by the delayed swearing-in. They have argued that the Constitution requires the president to resign if he cannot be sworn in. India has registered an official protest with Pakistan over the killing of 2 Indian soldiers in a reported cross-border attack by Pakistani troops in Kashmir. Pakistan denies any involvement. India's foreign minister said India had expressed to Pakistan in very strong terms its concern about the incident on Tuesday. An Indian Army spokesman confirmed Wednesday that the head of one of the soldiers had been cut off. However, the foreign minister said the issue should not halt the peace process between the two countries. Pakistani military officials say they have investigated the incident and found no evidence to prove India's claims. The rebellion over press restrictions has spread to a second newspaper in China. The newspaper, called the Beijing News, has refused a request from government media supervisors to reprint a government opinion. In it, the government criticized the reporters of the Southern Weekend newspaper in Guangdong province. The Financial Times reports that employees at the Beijing News refused to reprint the pro-government propaganda. Their refusal led to a dispute between a government official and the newspaper's leader. The newspaper did finally publish the piece after making it shorter. It ran on the back pages. People in Guangdong continued anti-censorship protests at the offices of the Southern Weekend for a third day Wednesday. The protests continued, although newspaper workers had agreed to end a week-long strike. They planned to publish the Southern weekly newspaper as usual on Thursday. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. Rebels in the north of Burma say military airstrikes are forcing thousands of ethnic Kachin to flee and raising concerns about planned peace talks. Members of the Kachin Independence Army say one civilian died during government airstrikes just a few kilometers from rebel headquarters. The director of the Kachin Refugee Agency says 15,000 people living in camps nearby are in danger and lack food. The Kachin are the only one of the 17 ethnic groups Burma's government has not yet made peace with. Kachin rebels are afraid the air attacks mean Burma plans to take the area by force. Rebels have demanded control of local resources, such as mines, rivers, and forests. For the third day in a row, there are new problems in the operation of the world's largest long-range jet airplane, Boeing's 787 Dreamliner. Japan's All Nippon Airways canceled a Dreamliner flight Wednesday. The airline said an error message appeared about the brake system. That followed two incidents earlier in the week at Boston's Logan International Airport in the United States. Despite the incidents, the American-based Boeing company said it has extreme confidence in the aircraft. A court in Vietnam has sentenced 14 rights activists to jail for plotting to overthrow the government. The activists received jail sentences from 3 to 13 years Wednesday after a 2-day trial. Another defendant was given 3 years of house arrest. The court ruled the activists had links to the banned opposition group Viet Thanh. The group is based in the United States. In a statement, Viet Thanh said the activists have supported social justice, been active citizen journalists, and taken part in peaceful demonstrations. American media reports say White House Chief of Staff Jack Lew is expected to be chosen to lead the Treasury Department. Officials told CNN and AP Wednesday that President Obama's announcement on the nomination could come before the end of this week. Mr. Lew has served as budget director for Mr. Obama and former President Bill Clinton. He has been involved in several financial negotiations between the White House and Congress. Mr. Lew has served at the Office of Management and Budget and as Deputy Secretary of State.